Nuance with Nikki, the nitty gritty, even if it's not pretty. So, guys, I've been given homework by one of my followers here at Nuance with Nikki. Her name is Victoria, and she's told me to research all of these people in terms of black excellence. And the reason that we are so passionate about this, guys, is because I have been very hurt. I've been deeply hurt by all the mean, nasty, vitriolic comments I have seen about black people in my country over the last few weeks. It wasn't one, it wasn't two, it wasn't 10, it wasn't 100 or 1,000. It was on and on and on. I've seen people dedicate their channels to demonizing the black people in my country. And to you, they may be black people. To me, they're just people. You know, they're just South Africans. And so it hurts when you speak that way about my teachers, my doctors, my nurses, my security guards, my cashiers, my uncles, my aunties. It hurts a lot. Right? So, at Nuance with Nikki, we have adult conversations. And Nikki has to smoke to cope. I don't like race and racism, but I'll be damned if I'm silent in the face of it. So we're going to learn about my uncle, Hamilton Naki, over here. Another one of the hundreds examples of black excellence, which the African diaspora is now saying black people in South Africa don't have. After decades of white folks saying that. I've had enough, guys. I've had enough. I would like to make a boundary very clear. As South Africans, we are not fond of non-South Africans inviting themselves into our conversations without learning about us first and being fair, without giving us the dignity of a 5-minute Google, without actually asking South African perspectives. White knighting and playing protagonists on our story, that hurts. I'm going to show you this example over here from a previous video. I called it the question of white South Africans. Here is how angry our white South Africans got when a white American was patronizing our black folk. White person was doing that, being condescending. The white South Africans got defensive.
Just to stitch this video that I was just tagged in a few minutes ago. I'm actually shaking because I'm so irritated and so upset. This woman that was originally stitched is a black South African woman. Now, you might not know what South Africa went through only 30 years ago. It only ended 30 years ago, right? But your white woman and our white woman might be totally different. So before you stitch someone in such a condescending way, try and figure out if you know what you are talking about. Because me, as a South African white woman, would rather take a step back, watch what happens around me in everyday life before I make a video like the one you just did. We don't know what Americans smile like. And the smile she is talking about is not a normal one. Like, there's actually...
I said in this video, guys, you may have skin folk in South Africa, but you don't have kinfolk. Whether they are black South Africans, white South Africans, Indian South Africans, that's my kinfolk you're talking about. That's my kinfolk. And you're a guest in our country. You're a guest in our conversation. You learn before you run your mouth. And you Google. We deserve the dignity of a 2-minute Google. There, let's just slow it down. I need to say that to everybody.
Suggestion is that when you approach a conversation, approach it with curiosity instead of being perpetually offended. Also, try not to center yourself in the...
I love it. We are fighting right now against the spirit of racism in our country, and we are fighting so hard. We are well aware that we have racists in this country, but we cannot have outsiders complicate an already complex discussion. It is too fragile, it's too vulnerable, and we are very, very defensive about that. We're very defensive. Okay? So we will stand as a united front. Leave us alone. Either treat us with respect or leave us alone. We are trying to heal a racial wound in this country, a deep one. We're acknowledging that it exists. When someone's in hospital, we can't have anybody but immediate family members. We can't have anybody but immediate family members show up because they're just going to infect an already vulnerable person. Please do not come in and visit our family when it comes to that, in the place where we still hurt, and that is the wound. You guys think you know white guilt? You don't know what our white people feel around white guilt. even though 70% of them voted against it. But most of us South Africans have had to do and are still continuing to do a lot of deconstruction of our own internalized racism. And it's complex for us in different ways. It is too vulnerable, it is too raw, it hurts too much, and we're not afraid of the race discussion, and we're not afraid of taking accountability and looking at ourselves. But we don't see that on the international stage. We don't see that. So you learn from us how it's done. Our survival is more important than our egos. All right? So keep yours at bay. Sefa, Boki, Sefa.
You are like the only woman I have ever actually seen who mansplains. What's up with that? What is up with the mean smile that doesn't meet your eyes while you condescendingly explain things wrong?
Exactly.
What is up with that? Yeah, I was being nice until I saw this. Until I fucking saw this and I saw how fucking condescending you are, and now I'm not going to be nice to you. Do you know where you are? You just try to fucking flip reverse racism in South Africa. Are you fucking kidding me? And then you explain why them getting offended is a them issue. Meanwhile, you entered a South African conversation about South African things that happen in South Africa. And you got offended. Like, what the fuck? Please stay in America. Stay in America. The only reason you got offended with what she was saying was because there was the term white in front of it. And you identified with that. You don't need to defend us. We are not
Don't need to defend us.
of it, and you identified with that. You don't need to defend us. We are not the same as you. Just apologize and futsak. It's that simple.
I never would have known that the white women in South Africa saw themselves differently from the white women in America. I thought they would have that.
I don't know what is so surprising about that. That seems alien to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. How do you not love the person who lives next to you more than someone who happens to share one body part with you? That makes no sense. It makes zero sense. I don't know what the rest of the world's thinking, but down south, we don't think like that. We don't think like that down south. Okay? Here's all the homework. This is all the black people I'm going to go learn about now. And I just wanted to say this. We deserve better than this as South Africans. We deserve better than this. For people trying to claim our struggle and trying to pretend that they went through what we went through. We know what you went through. Okay? If you come for South African Education Department, I'm going to make you do an exam because I am a tutor. Okay? And you can see if our kids can compete in terms of American history with what you can compete in terms of South African history. But listen, and it's not just Americans. At the same October when we were fighting with African Americans, we were fighting with the Brits as well.
And I do hope people know a little bit of the history over in South Africa. Slavery was finally abolished or ended, whatever term you want to use, roughly, I think, 28, 29, 30 years ago. So I'm 35. To put that into perspective, I would have been born into slavery.
No, you would not, sir. He didn't even give South Africa the dignity of a 5-minute Google, and that is disrespectful. That is disrespectful. That is not fair. That is not fair. And he wants to claim pro-blackness when he didn't give the black people in my country the dignity of a 5-minute Google. They deserve better than that. Okay? Let me tell you about slavery in my country. My race, the colored race, was enslaved here. This colonial history starts in 1652. Slavery was abolished in 1835. Apartheid only happened in 1948. That is how long it took between 1652 and 1948 to completely subjugate our black people. That is how tough they are. You do not find Zulu DNA, you don't find Sotho DNA, you don't find Xhosa DNA across the Atlantic because they were too big. Their spirits were too big to sell their own into slavery, and they deserve credit for that. They deserved more than this. Okay? Before you came to South Africa, you would have been vetted for your visa, sir. You would have. And you would have gotten something called honorary white status. Here is a book about a Malawian Brit who got it. His name is E.R. Braithwaite. Okay? The famous author E.R. Braithwaite from To Sir with Love. Sidney Poitier once played him in a movie. Okay? Honorary white status. You would have been able, sir, to get onto buses, okay, that I could not get onto. I wouldn't even be able to pull a Rosa Parks on you Because on paper, you would have been white. I would have fit under the umbrella blanket of black, and my subcategory of black would have been called colored, and my subcategory of colored was called Cape Colored. We had identity markers in our ID numbers, and mine still bears the number that says Cape Colored, although I'd never been to Cape Town until I was 20 something. Okay? I'd never been to the Cape. There's one African American that is famous for fighting honorary white status and refusing it, and his name was Arthur Ashe. And what he demonstrated with what he did is that American privilege is so big, no matter what's happening from sea to shining sea. I don't deny your pain. We feel your pain. We know it. We've studied it. We've supported you through it. But what Arthur Ashe demonstrates is that American privilege can change so much for South Africans. He built tennis courts for black kids here in my country, and he made sure the police wouldn't harass them. He used his American privilege in that way. He didn't play victim. He understood his context. He understood that as an American, he had a status even higher than that of white South Africans. And I'm going to do a video one day on honorary white status so you can learn. Okay? But I'm just here to say that black people in my country deserved more than someone trying to piggy bank their struggle, but not even giving them the dignity of a 5-minute Google. That was not right. That was not right. Okay, let's learn about Hamilton Naki. The doctor that you're looking at there on the left is Dr. Chris Barnard. He was the first doctor to perform heart surgery ever in the history of the world, to perform it successfully in Cape Town, South Africa, Groote Schuur. And he's paying homage to this man, Hamilton Naki, and the important role that Mr. Naki played there. Okay? So the video reads, Professor Barnard encouraged opportunities for growth in people whom he felt had potential. The truth about Hamilton Naki. Okay? Your only idea of white South Africans is as this caricature racist person, and you guys don't know that there are many shades of grey and they're not just your stereotype. Same with black people. They are not just your stereotype of this incapable, dumb person who's bowing down to white people. They're not. Okay? They can handle their own business. They can speak back to whiteness better than most people can. They are experts. They are the world experts at race relations. There are countries that hire South Africans to go and teach them about race and truth and reconciliation commissions. You don't preach back to an Italian about pasta. You don't preach back to a Chinaman about kung fu or chow mein. You don't preach to a Frenchman about croissants or a German about sauerkraut. And you certainly do not preach to a black Namibian or South African about race. Namibians went through apartheid with us. We were one country until I was 4 or 5 years old.
Hamilton Naki started working at Groote Schuur Hospital when he was just 13 years of age. Now he was working in the gardens at the age of 18. He then landed himself a position in the laboratories near the university.
I came to Cape Town to look for work because my family was very poor. I couldn't manage to go to school. I take standard 6. Now,
to our young people, standard 6 is grade 8. That's the first year of high school in South Africa. Okay? It's a very important year. He could not go to high school. He had to support his family. So from the age of 13, he went to work in the gardens of Groote Schuur Hospital in Cape Town.
now from standard 6, I came here to work as a gardener.
And he worked as a gardener for 6 years there. And then he heard there was a position at the animal house at the medical school. So he started working there, and he was not satisfied just to clean the cages of the animals. He wanted more than that. And gradually worked himself up and worked himself into the laboratory where we were doing experimental work on animals, doing heart transplants. And I could see that he was a very capable young man, and I gave him to do more and more and more. And eventually he could do a heart transplant, sometimes better than the junior doctors came there.
And eventually he was assisting Chris Barnard in this kind of research. And by just observing, he learned to do an entire heart transplant from beginning to end.
By just observing. And I wonder if the history of slaughtering in African culture contributed, because, you know, I've seen African slaughter because I eat meat, and I'm not going to shy away from the hunting or the slaughtering. I can't just eat meat happily here in Joburg and let a farmer over there go and slaughter meat for me and not look at it. So I made myself look, and it was heartbreaking, but I've seen it done so humanely with one slice. The wisdom of African culture equipped him to do this, I think.
He was so good, he even tutored some of the young doctors moving through the laboratories.
And eventually moved away from me and went into the laboratory where they did liver transplants. Now, liver transplant really is a very difficult surgical procedure. And he learned this too, in that today he can do heart transplant and he can do liver transplant. I can't do liver transplant, but he can. So many people with tremendous potential has never had the opportunity to develop that potential. I always say the ingredients to success is firstly a certain amount of ability, and the second one is opportunity.
Absolutely. I have to agree with that. I have to agree with Dr. Barnard there. Let us slow that down for the people in the back, please.
Potential has never had the opportunity to develop that potential. I always say the ingredients to success is firstly a certain amount of ability, and the second one is opportunity.
And many people have never had the opportunity, as Dr. Chris Barnard says. And so at this point, I'd like to talk about Vincent Mai and Siya Kolisi. Okay. Vincent Mai, I wish I could show you. I can't find it. His Zoom meeting. Maybe I'll leave the comments open. I'll decide. I don't like leaving comments open on my healing videos because I don't want people to have the opportunity to add hate where I'm breaking stereotypes. Okay? So I just follow my intuition. I'll see. Vincent Mai, the man on the right, paid for Siya Kolisi's scholarship. Siya used to eat one slice of bread a day. He is now a World Cup champion rugby player. Vincent Mai has done this for hundreds of kids, as I understand it. I hope I'm right about that. But whether he's done it for 1 or 10 or 100 is not the point. And Siya Kolisi restored the hearts of our nation in a different way. He restored our self-esteem. And he led a team to the first back-to-back World Cup rugby champions. And he healed racial divisions through the way he and his team played. And he healed our heart when we were exhausted. A nation betrayed by the ANC, who keeps taking credits for an apartheid that they continued, frankly. That's Nikki's opinion. I'm not taking any questions. But I will speak about the ANC with compassion too at a different stage. But too much has been worsened by them in many ways. We're politically better off, but economically worse off, in Nikki's opinion. I want to expand on that with more nuance another time, please. So please give me grace.
There are many people who are probably as skilled as Hamilton, as gifted as Hamilton, that has never had the opportunity to explore what God gave them.
In 1985,
Barnard, there are many people who are as gifted as Hamilton. One day, if your daughter has a car accident or a stroke or something, there is a child in Alex right now that could have been their doctor, could have been their nurse. There is brilliance in the townships. There is brilliance in the villages. And our economic position as South Africans right now is robbing us of that. And our subconscious racism is robbing us of that. And I keep speaking about the greatness of black people and everything they've achieved, but I want you to know that it's the small, everyday things that black people do in my life that I appreciate. It's the small, little gestures, daily bits of kindness, daily bits of respect as well. And so black South African cultures, because black is an umbrella term. What's happening with Xhosa speaking people is not the same as what's happening with Zulu people. In the Xhosa language, that's different nations. You have the Amatembu, I think you have the Abelungu, I'm so sorry, and I can't remember. I know there are at least 3 umbrellas that I've heard of. And so, I mean, guys, we're talking about thousands of years of history here. Thousands of years. And there are words I can't pronounce, and there are words that have never been centralized in my life. But the point of what I'm saying is, even though I'm missing some details, is that we have been robbed as a world, not just of black excellence today, but of the ancient wisdom. And internalized racism, when you think a white person is better than you, when I'll meet you in Mauritius and you'll refuse to speak Sotho to me because we're in Mauritius now, because you are rejecting the part of you that speaks Vernac. You have not only disrespected your family, you've robbed me, because I want to learn the wisdom hidden in the Sotho language. So now I'm asking you to teach me, but you've rejected a part of yourself. And what hurts me about this, in the same way as what hurts me about the identity theft that black people are facing today, is because I come from a race group with centuries of having their languages stolen from them. A race group that landed at the Cape, lost their surnames, and were called Mr. September, Mr. October, Mr. November. A race group whose story has been stolen. And I hate seeing black people who are already paying black tax having to pay color tax now too. It hurts. It hurts. Please don't reject yourselves. Because I know what it is to be a teenager and reject one part of yourself and then reject the other part or whatever. I've learned to accept that you can't take the black out of me, and you can't take the white out of me, and you can't take the good and the bad and the ugly or whatever any more than you can take it out of my coffee. I don't know if you guys can see my coffee there. Okay? I accept every bit of it. And my hope is that you will accept every part of yourself. And my hope, not my hope, my fight is that anybody who comes and disrespects you, I'm there. I'm there. I'm the reserve tank black person. I'm the reserve tank white person. I got you back. Okay? This is our family and our country. And anybody who enters our home will do so with respect or a great deal of discomfort. They get to choose. The ball is in their court. Are they going to be lacquer or are they going to be kak?
Hamilton was awarded an honorary degree from the University of Cape Town. Sadly, the story of Hamilton Naki has become very controversial. And if you Google Hamilton Naki, you'll get 15 different versions of the story coming up. Some that claim he was on Chris Barnard's first transplant team. Some said he removed the donor heart and gave it to Chris. Some said he even taught Chris Barnard on how to do transplants, which is absolute nonsense. But the truth is, Hamilton never worked on a human being at any time. He also never became a doctor. He never got a doctorate, he got an honorary degree. So he's not Dr. Hamilton Naki, and he never worked on a human.
And Chris said to me, phone the airlines and book an air ticket for Hamilton to East London. And he said, I'll pay for it.
Okay, we'll hear that now, but let's listen to an award that Mr. Hamilton Naki was given. Mr. Hamilton Naki got the Order of Mapungubwe in bronze. Hamilton Naki awarded for outstanding contribution to medical science. The profile of Hamilton Naki is: Hamilton Naki was working as a gardener at the University of Cape Town, where he had started at the age of 14 when Dr. Robert Goetz asked him to assist in the new surgical laboratory where he learned to anesthetize dogs for research purposes. After Goetz left, Naki was serving as a surgical and anesthetic research assistant at the university when a young cardiac surgeon, Christian Barnard, began to further his research into open heart and cardiopulmonary bypass surgery. Despite his limited conventional education, Naki had a remarkable ability to grasp intricate anatomical structures and medical procedures. Almost exactly 35 years ago, when Professor Barnard performed the first heart transplants in Cape Town, I think it's something like 65 now, to be honest, thus bringing South Africa, the University of Cape Town, and the J.S. Murray Laboratory international attention. It was Naki, by then a principal surgical assistant at the laboratory, doing research into liver transplants, who served as his anesthetist. Naki currently serves in Langa, Cape Town, and continues to touch hearts with his community work. Thank you, Uncle Naki. Thank you. Guys, if you are someone researching South Africa now, I'm going to ask you for respect. Please give us the respect of a 5-minute Google. Please prioritize your sources. They must come from South Africans. I don't care if it's a white South African. I don't care if it's a black South African. That's your trauma around race. That's not our problem, to be frank. Okay? You must go deal with your racial trauma with your therapist. It's not our job to be your punching bag or your a place where you exert your racial trauma on us. We have our own. And it was much more precise than many parts of the world, much more precise than you probably can imagine. but you listen first and foremost to South African sources on South African history.
Said, I'll pay for it. And Hamilton had never been in an aeroplane before. And it happened that his wife was going to have a baby and he wanted to go to the Eastern Cape to be there. So off he went to East London and his wife gave birth to a son and Hamilton called him Barnard.
He named his son after Dr. Chris Barnard, which I think is just amazing. Just amazing. This has been Nuance with Nikki, the nitty gritty, even if it's shitty. Guys, thank you so much for joining. As I said, South Africans give the world a lot of respect. We deserve better than just to be treated like someone's chapter in a textbook. We deserve to be better than someone's need to play victim. We deserve better than for someone to piggy bank our struggles. We deserve better than someone to white knight in front of us and patronize us and treat us like we're incapable of handling our own business. We've been South Africans our whole lives. We are the experts at being South African, no matter what. Now, you may have put a man on the moon. You've got a man there from us who wants to go to Mars. We hope that you leave him there. Ne? You may have written United We Shall Stand. But here, in South Africa, you'll learn how it's lived. You may have invented rugby. We don't deny you that. Here in South Africa, you learn how it's played. This is the nation that gave the world its heart back. Through heart surgery, through the place where humanity was reborn after the Ice Age, and through the Protea. So the more you put hate on us, you can't bury us. We're Proteas. You can't burn us down. A Protea will spout its seeds, and more Proteas are just going to grow. You can throw shit at us. We are Kokotwane. We will vulindlela. We'll make a road out of any shit that's thrown at us. Now, I do apologize for my bad language, but this is Nuance with Nikki over here. It's very informal. You see me unpolished, okay? So, you're welcome to our home. You're welcome to come and eat biltong. You're welcome to go on safari, but please leave the running of the country to us, okay? That name, South Africa, is a sacred name. When you have it in your mouth, please have it with respect. Otherwise, mind your business and let South Africans mind our South African business. This has been Nuance with Nikki, the nitty gritty, and it's been wonderful to have you. Thank you for joining. Give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you to everybody in the comments educating me and correcting me where I'm wrong. I love you. I appreciate you. Ciao for now.